So let's talk about customers and product management and just how those types of things feed together. So you want to grow the business, you want to increase sales, you really need to understand your customer and have your product pretty well laid out in terms of roadmaps and all that sort of thing. So I listened to a podcast not too long ago, and I've heard this a couple different areas, and I thought it was really interesting. But when we're talking about really understanding product, making sure it fits the customer needs, that sort of thing, it's really important that every employee, of course, knows the customer. So not just you as a business owner or business, leader, manager, whatever it is, but like everyone needs to know the customer. So I thought it was pretty cool when I heard that, when you hire a salesperson, it's pretty common to make them demo the product to you. And so I've definitely adopted that in hiring over the last couple years, where it's like, at the end of the training, session, it's not enough to just say, okay, I checked the box, you're done with training, but you have to be able to turn it around and demo the product. And working in software in particular, that's really tricky because there are a lot of different nuances and things to know, but really you don't want that person on the front line unless they really can understand that stuff. So even if it takes a little bit longer, it's really worth it in the long run to make sure that upfront they can demo that product to you and answer the questions and all of that. So that's just a pretty cool thing to take into account when you're going through the hiring process and onboarding, when it comes to learning the customer and making sure that your employees know who they're talking to and who they're working with and who they're trying to design product for and market the product for. But let's jump in. So when it comes to point number 1, product roadmap and a launch calendar, you really want to make sure that you've got a roadmap and a launch calendar. And again, this list I'm going to go through are some highlights of product and customer, areas to focus on, but it's not going to be everything. But this is definitely a big one. So when you have a structured roadmap, you're able to take that to plan ahead. So your customers know where you're going, they can get excited about it, your employees know where they're going, and you've got that nice, plan that's documented. And so you can allocate resources effectively, you can make sure your hiring plans are there, budgets, all of that. But that clear calendar for launching is also going to help you stay organized and avoid the delays that could disrupt your growth plans. And when you notice that things are going off track, it's really quick and easy to be able to divert and reallocate things as needed when you've got that documented in a calendar. Number 2 is going to be market fit and timely product launches. So product should have a solid market fit before launching. And so that's kind of what I was saying, when your employees really know the customer, then they can really proceed to be effective in their job, because whether they're marketing, whether they're supporting the customer, whatever it might be, developing product, they have that firm understanding. And so you can do that through interviews, surveys, customer feedback. I have lots of blog articles on that. This is something I'm very familiar with. I've done a lot of work in this area over the years in trying to make sure that customer feedback and market information is all getting compiled together and summarized so that the product market fit is there. And when tweaks are needed, it's very easy to draw on that data because you've got it directly from the customer's mouth. So delays in product launches, things like that can hinder the growth and lose customers. So it, again, is really important that these launches are staying timely and that they are a market fit. So you could have something that is a market fit this year that, in 2 years things could change. So you really want to take that into account when you're planning your calendars and your roadmaps to make sure that you are doing things that are relevant, they're timely, and they're solving the customer problem right now. And number 3 would be a deep understanding of the product across all the teams. So very similar to like I was saying with that demo, it's really important that every single member, whether they're in marketing, sales, customer service, development, that they know where the product is, what it does, what the benefits are, how it solves the pain points. So when they're on the phone, or if they're talking to someone at a trade show, they're writing a blog article, they're writing a marketing page, designing a marketing page, they really have the understanding of exactly how this fits the customer's needs and solves their problems. So you want to make sure that everyone is communicating that same message to customers and that it's working towards the same goals. I've run into things in the past with salespeople in particular when there is a misunderstanding. I've run into it in marketing as well. There's a misunderstanding on maybe what a particular feature does, and that can just snowball out of hand, because if they're the ones that are writing the marketing page or designing the marketing page, that's completely missing the mark. So your SEO is going to be off, your keywords are going to be off, because that's not even what the customer is going to be searching for, because there's just a complete misunderstanding right up front. So it's very important to make sure that deep understanding is there. Customer personas is number 4. So having that clear customer persona is a complete game changer when it comes to product development. your product development team, your marketing team, when you have these customer personas, the ICP, the ideal customer profile, your targeted buyer persona, whatever you might call it, there's lots of different terminology. When they have those in their head, they can be thinking that the entire time when you're meeting and you're going through the development process, the technical specs, all of that stuff, because everyone has that clear picture of who it is. I am a huge fan of naming personas. I've worked with a lot of different companies. I've worked with Bain & Company. I've worked with Shinola, lots of different companies on developing these. And I find that when you name them, they stick in your head better. So you've got that picture and it's like, I'm just going to say Bob the Builder, whatever it might be. You can picture Bob in your head better than you can if you just leave it generic. So I do highly recommend you name them, and so that everyone on the team has that image. I am a big fan as well in having them printed. And so you've got your customer personas. The most recent place I worked at, we had 6 of them defined. And so they were on like a maybe 24 by 36 frame essentially. And so they were in multiple places in the office so that at any time you're in meetings, it's really quick to refer to those customer personas and exactly know who you're talking about. And it had, like the motivations and their sticking points, all those different things listed in a nice summarized way. So it was really easy to understand, but it was really helpful. So I definitely think you need to know your audience inside and out. And when you can craft your messaging, your marketing pages, your features, however you're speaking to the customer, when you can think of them in your head and everyone can, you're all speaking the same language. Point number 5 is a customer feedback system in place. So you really want to make sure that you are hearing from your customer, but you're taking action on it. And you've got some way to do that, some way to store that information, some way to keep that information. So customer system or feedback system, it's going to be vital to make sure that you're doing continuous improvement measures. And so if you're collecting and analyzing the feedback from your customers, when they're giving you that valuable insight into what's working for them, what isn't, where improvements are needed, when you can do that, you're able to make informed decisions about future product iterations, which is key. And it's going to ensure that you're always meeting customer expectations. So ENPS, or I should say NPS, employee NPS is different from NPS, but NPS is a great way to do that Net Promoter Score or Net Promoter System. So I have blog articles again on that, but I'm very familiar with doing this. Would love to talk on how we can incorporate that if you're not doing it. A lot of times I've seen people do it like every 6 months, even annually is better than nothing, but it's a great way to be able to get a gauge on where your customer base is at. And there's positives and negatives to it, but it is a way to get that information and hear what your customer is thinking. So they can rate you on a 0 to 10. How likely are they to recommend you? And then if you go with a Net Promoter System concept, you ask that second question of why they gave you that rating, and then you can get some more additional feedback to take action on. Number 6 is customer journey, having that mapped out. So you can talk to your customer, you can get the information, you can hear some feedback, and it kind of is up in your head. But if you don't have that customer journey mapped out and documented, it's really difficult to have the teams work together on different areas. So for example, you've got your entire customer funnel. You've got marketing up front. You've got maybe a customer service, customer support that's kind of all through all the funnels. You've got, customer success, possibly depending on the industry you're in. You've got just different departments working along the different funnel in the different areas. And so when you have that customer map laid out, you can really make sure that you're all understanding who's doing what, when there's interactions, what the customer is feeling at these different points. All these different things are really, really helpful to have that documented and laid out. Again, lots of experience with that. I would love to help you with that. It's making sure, though, that your customers can stay engaged and satisfied throughout the entire relationship. So from the time they very first even think they have a problem all the way through the end of the funnel after purchase, hopefully they become an advocate for you, making sure that that's all seamless. Point number 7 is going to be high quality standards. So you want to make sure that you set high quality standards and that you follow them. So you want to have consistency in quality so that you're building trust with your customers. And so when your products meet the absolute highest standards, it creates that loyal customer base where you want people to recommend you. It is much cheaper for you to have people recommend you and to keep customers, to retain them, than it is to have to get a new customer. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to create that loyal customer base. You want that positive word of mouth marketing. Like I said, that is the easiest way to get customers, when customers are so happy that they're going to talk about you. So I have a point on my website, and it says, if a customer has a bad experience, studies have been done, and on average, they will tell 15 people about it. So that would be awful to be having all this negativity out there, poor reviews, when, if you're just doing things like being transparent, listening to the customer, having those high quality standards, you can get the opposite of that, where they're out there telling how great things are. I know, for example, if I go to a restaurant and I have a really great experience, I am more than happy to tell everyone I possibly can about it. Or if I buy some product on TikTok and it's so great, some little knickknack thing, I am so quick to tell people about it that you need to get one too. So you really want to kind of keep that mindset in, to do all the things you can to keep people becoming advocates and remaining your customer. Point number 8 is customer service is operating, at peak performance. So it's really important to make sure that when a customer calls in, that this is treated just as, with as much importance as it is throughout the earlier portion of the journey. So a customer can call in at any point. They can ask you for pricing early on. They could have issues later on down the road. Whatever it is, it's really important during that entire time that they're treated in a consistent, solid, positive manner. So that means quick turnaround times, knowledgeable support team, customer service team, whatever it might be, that they're getting those 5-star reviews. So I have personally built a customer support team in a previous role, and we were at the point of between a 4.9 and 5-star rating, from customers, which was amazing. But that was one of the selling points when I ended up leaving that business, was that customer support was so great. They actually answered the phone. They had all the answers. If they didn't, they were able to say, I don't know. They would get back to you in a timely manner. And so customers were super happy. And so it actually became a marketing point in how great that was to have such a great response from customer support. But you want the team to be empowered to go above and beyond for the customer. There's lots of case studies out there from like Chick-fil-A. I'm trying to think, the Ritz-Carlton out in California. There's lots of tremendous stories. Trader Joe's is another one where I recommend checking those out. They go so above and beyond for the customer, and they're leaving that impression with the customer no matter what stage that they're in of the funnel, that shows the commitment to their success, and it really builds those long-lasting relationships. So very important there too. Point number 9 is using data and tools to share insights. So you want to make sure that you are understanding the customers, that you're tracking the product performance, you're optimizing your strategies. So you might have analytics, you might be using a spreadsheet, you might have CRM tools, whatever it might be. You want to make sure though that you're using data to drive those decisions, and it leads to more effective product development, better marketing strategies, and a more engaged customer base in general. And then number 10 is make sure that you have customer retention strategies in place. So it's important to make sure, again, like we said, it's cheaper to keep your customer than it is to get a new one. And you want to make sure that you're doing things to keep them. So it's not just enough to focus on sales, get that sale and be done. You need to make sure you've got people focused on after the fact. And if they have customer service issues, that customer service is treating them well. Billing is another thing. Billing can often be forgotten about and treated differently because it's just not part of maybe like the initial funnel, but that's really important there too. I've heard really great stories about GoDaddy in particular, when you will call their customer support and there might be an issue like a refund needed or something. They're very quick to go above and beyond, even in the billing stage, because that means the entire process all along the way, you know what to expect and how you're going to be treated. Just because you're into a billing issue doesn't mean that you need to have arguments and fight with people and have a bad experience when you leave to leave a bad review. They understand that. And so that's really important too, to make sure you're thinking about that the entire way through the process. And so you want to make sure your customers keep coming back, bottom line. So I would love to talk about my experience in these areas and how I can help. So let's connect.